July is not just a month, it's a political earthquake. It has seen revolutions, treaties, and transformations that have reshaped the world. Look back at July 1953. That S when the 23-year-old leader of a tiny island nation addressed his people for the first time on radio. His message, a nation forged in blood, sweat, and tears will not be denied its freedom. The next day, he led a revolt against colonial rulers. By July, the flag of an independent nation was raised for the first time. This was the birth of a new nation, the first black African state free of colonial rule. Ghana became independent on July 1st, 1953, and the journey of many more. Freedom struggles across the world began. Then we head to July 1958. In Algeria, a war of independence against the French was raging. On July, the French Assembly Nationale passed a law. It recognized Algeria as a French-speaking state, almost like a step towards independence. But the real change came 3 years later. On July 1962, the Evian Accords were signed. They put an end to the 8-year-long war. Algeria got full independence on July, across the Mediterranean. On July 1969, a group of young officers carried out a coup in Greece. They overthrew the regime of King Paul I the next day. They restored the monarchy, but under a new king, Constantine II. He was the uncle of the deposed King Paul, and look at what followed. On July, the new regime was overthrown, the monarchy was abolished, and Greece became a republic. Now let us move to July 1975. The Vietnam War had ended 2 years back, but the Americans were still holding on to the Paracel Islands. They refused to leave. So on July, the Socialist Republic of Vietnam took over these islands. The Americans were ousted. In Africa, on July 1976, a military coup overthrew the government of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This was led by a man called Mobutu Sese Seko. He changed his name to Mobutu and declared himself president. He ruled for 32 years. He was finally ousted in a coup in 1997. Then we come to July 1990. Here's one for the history books. On July, 2 superpowers signed a historic treaty. It was about strategic arms reduction. The treaty was between the USA and the USSR, the biggest rivals during the Cold War. Both sides agreed to cut down their arsenal. This was a big step towards ending the Cold War. And finally, we head to July 2011. Muammar Gaddafi was the ruler of Libya. He was known as the Madman of North Africa. He was hated by his people. On July, they rose against him. There were protests, there was violence. Gaddafi tried to crush the revolt. But 8 months later, he was forced to flee his capital. He was captured and killed on October. The new chapter had begun in the history of North Africa. So that's our news from July. We started with Ghana and ended with Libya. 2 very different stories, 2 very different journeys, 2 very different paths to freedom. Yes, but one thing common: the spirit of July, the spirit of courage and conviction, the spirit of fighting for freedom,